What's going on, pool players? In today's video, we show you how to break better in 8-ball. We're going to talk about things like how to rack, your cue ball control, and everything in between. Let's get into it. A good 8-ball break starts with a good rack. We need to make sure all the balls are touching. If they're not, we risk losing a lot of power and creating clusters on the table. Let's take a closer look at how I like to rack them. There's two ways I like to rack the balls. Either putting my fingers in the back of the rack like this, and just sliding them up to the spot, making sure everything's touching. I'm kind of putting a little bit of pressure backwards on the rack with my fingers while pushing forward with my knuckles on the ball. Or we can use the palm technique, where we roll the balls up and use our fingers to squeeze the rack back into our palms. And once we get the balls to settle, you take your hands off and you just press up on the rack. If the balls wiggle, try it one more time. Press up on the rack and then lift it off. We can also rack with a smart rack. If we have one of these, it's actually easier. We have to use the palm technique with this. I like to just set it on the bottom rail. That way I can move the balls around if I need to rearrange my pattern. But after that, we just roll them up to the spot and do the same technique as with the rack, where we squeeze our palms up and pull back into our palms. And then once we get the balls to settle, just press the rack forward. And see that 2-ball move, so we're gonna do it one more time. Press the rack forward. Try one more time. Sometimes you gotta wipe the spot off. Ball is nice and settled. Push the rack forward. There's two main strategies that people use when breaking an 8-ball rack. The first is the head ball break, and the second is the second ball break. We're gonna talk about the head ball break first. I like to put the ball just 1 to 2 ball widths off of center. So you can put it anywhere you want realistically, but I like the angle 1 to 2 ball widths off center. And then you can experiment moving it forward, closer to the head string, or back closer to the rail. Now when we're talking about the bridge, if you're near the head string, you have to have your hand on the table, otherwise the bridge is too long. So I suggest using a closed bridge for the break if you're on the head string. Now if you move the ball back, we can bridge on the rail. And when we're bridging on the rail, we want to make sure our thumb is inside the shaft. And then we're using the peace sign to split the shaft with our fingers. The next thing is our spin. And this is where the strategy really comes in. When you're spinning the ball on a head ball break, you want to keep it dead center line of the ball. When you're practicing your breaks for that day, and again, this depends on the table you're on too, start with the dead center of the cue ball. This will show you where the balls are going that day, because conditions and table matter for when you're breaking. If you start in the center of the ball, what we're looking for is the second row. So this 5-ball and this 11-ball, we're looking for these balls to be in the side pockets, or at least track towards the side pockets. If these balls go low, we have to put more draw on. If these balls go high, we have to put more high on, more topspin. And this is how we'll determine where the balls are breaking that day. That's what should determine your spin, not what you normally use. It should be the way the balls are reacting that day. So I'm gonna hit this perfectly center and see where the balls go. Watch the 5 and the 11. So the 5 definitely went a little low. So if we try it again, we should put more draw on, and we'll see if the 5-ball goes more into the side. I put the 5 and the 11 in the same spot so we can see how they react this time. Last time I hit perfectly center. This time I'm gonna do about 1 tip of low. Let's see what happens. And also the cue ball's in the exact same spot it was before. So I'm trying to keep all the variables the same except for my spin. So the 2 ball went in the side that time, but the 5 ball also went a little higher. So it also means we just need a little bit more draw on that, and then it'll probably take the second ball row into the side pocket. If the first break isn't working for you that day, or you just don't like that kind of break, your second option is the side rail break, shooting the second row. Let's talk about where to place the ball first. The cue ball I like to place in line with the knuckle of the corner pocket. And you can break from either side. I'm right-handed, I like to break from the left side, but some righties like to break from the right side, it doesn't really matter. I just like to put the cue ball in line with the knuckle, so it gives me enough access to the cue ball. If I'm all the way on the rail, I don't have enough access to the bottom of the cue ball to go high or low if I need to. Okay, once we find our spot, then we're bridging on the rail this time, all the time. We're not bridging on the table. We're putting a same kind of bridge as on the head ball break, but we're just off to the side. Now the most important part of this break is where we're aiming the cue ball, the center of the cue ball. We're not aiming it at the center of the 7 or the center of the second ball. We're actually aiming it to this 11 ball, this back middle of the pack. By doing that, we get a good square hit on the rack. And we also want to aim our tip low on the cue ball. So what we want to do is draw the cue ball off to the side rail and back into the pack. Now, a lot of people say this is the 8-ball break strategy to make the 8-ball. It does do that sometimes, but that's not the main reason to use this break. The main reason to use this break is to get a ball down every time. And a lot of pros, especially in the ultimate pool ranks, have been adopting this break because it's more consistent with making balls. Sometimes you get a worse spread or all the balls drift to one side of the table or the other. But when you're at the pro level, it's worth it to get a ball down. So let's see how this works. Bridge on the rail, aiming at the 11, a little low on the cue ball. And we see that corner ball went straight in the pocket. Before we end this video, I want to talk about 3 common mistakes people make, and these are 8-ball break killers. So the first one is trying to hit the ball too hard. When you're putting all of that body English into it, you do 2 things. A, you risk losing control of the cue ball, and B, you risk miscuing. By doing the whole body English thing, like the pros do sometimes, very few of them actually do that, but when they do that, they have perfect stroke mechanics. You probably don't. So stick to an easy 80% power break. This also leads into the next problem, overdrawing the cue ball. By adding too much power, you risk drawing the cue ball all the way back to the bottom rail and losing position of the cue ball and getting trapped. Like, see, I made a ball there, but I have very few options. I actually have like maybe 1 shot here because my cue ball is all the way at the back of the bottom rail. That's not a good break. The final mistake is using the same break for every table. I already touched on this a little bit earlier, but just remember that conditions change on every table and every day. Make sure you're adapting your game and your break to those conditions. And if there's one thing you remember from this video, make it that power opens the rack, but control wins the game. Make sure to smash that like button and don't forget to subscribe because we go live every Sunday, so you want to make sure you get the alerts. See you in the next one.